G'day and welcome to this Australian Open Live. We tell stories and our story is Grand Slam tennis, and today it's the Spotlight series, and today we're shining a spotlight as part of our Player Watch on Neale Fraser, Australian tennis great and Davis Cup captain, and paying tribute today to Neale Fraser, who passed away at the start of December 2024 at the age of 91. Fraser oversaw 4 Davis Cup triumphs between 1973 and 1986. He won 3 Grand Slam singles and 16 doubles titles as a player. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to this Australian Open Life. Really glad you can join us today. We're telling the story of Neale Fraser, Australian Davis Cup captain and legend. Well, Neale Davis learned to play on the clay courts next door to his childhood home in Melbourne and developed a game built around a thunderous left-handed serve. As a cricket fan, Neale Fraser watched how leg spin bowlers turned the ball in different directions by cocking their wrists, and he adapted this googly approach to his serve. Emerging during the golden era of Australian men's tennis, Neale Fraser was initially unable to break into the Davis Cup team and lost 3 times in major singles finals, including twice to close friend Ashley Cooper. First at the 1957 Australian Championships and at Wimbledon in 1958. Then he broke through the following year after completing the sweep of singles, doubles and mixed titles at the 1959 US Open at Forest Hills in New York, before also gaining the world #1 singles rankings. And remember, this was in the days when tennis players were amateur players, that once they turned pro, they had to forego playing on the Grand Slam circuit. Fraser ultimately became one of 20 men to win all 4 majors in doubles. He was elected into the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 1984. One of his doubles partners, Roy Emerson, described Fraser as a general on the court. And despite lucrative offers to turn professional, Neale Fraser remained an amateur in the hope he would succeed Harold Hopman as Australian Davis Cup captain, which he eventually did. Harold Hopman once called the competition the Fraser Cup, as Neale Fraser ushered in several generations of talent in men's tennis for Australia, including future Davis Cup captains John Newcombe and John Fitzgerald, and 2-time Davis Cup winning hero Pat Cash. And Pat Cash recently commented in a tribute on, you can read it on the Tennis Australia website, Pat Cash saying, "Neale Fraser was like a father to me. He just knew how to make you feel important and play your best." And that's where we'll wrap it up there with my own recollections of those Davis Cup triumphs in 83 and 86. And Neale Fraser truly was a very calming, wise presence amongst his Davis Cup players. Pat Cash coming through in the early 1980s and struggling a lot with the attention that was thrust upon him. Even those days, obviously no social media, but the scrutiny was intense, and Pat Cash at times a bit of a firebrand, and Neale Fraser proving to be a great mentor and a great steadying hand as Pat Cash was learning how to deal with those intrusions from the press and the annual summer frenzy of attention that he had to deal with each summer. And Pat Cash turning out to be the great Australian hope in men's tennis, and eventually breaking through in, was it 87 or 88? I think it was 87 that he beat Ivan Lendl on the centre court at Wimbledon, and sent us all into great joy that we'd finally broken through again in Australian tennis to win a Wimbledon crown. And look out for future episodes in our Spotlight series. We'll be going through the wild cards and letting you know who they all are, and especially the Australians. Welcome back to this Australian Open Life. Really glad you can join us today. Fraser oversaw 4 Davis Cup triumphs between 1973 and 1986. He won 3 Grand Slam singles and 16 doubles titles as a player. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to this Australian Open Life. Really glad you can join us today. We're telling the story of Neale Fraser, Australian Davis Cup captain and legend. Australian tennis is mourning the loss of legendary player and Davis Cup captain Neale Fraser. Learned to play on the clay courts next door to his childhood home in Melbourne. For all his Grand Slam glory, Fraser's name will forever be associated with the Davis Cup, both as a player and in a record-setting run as Australian Davis Cup captain. A 3-time Grand Slam singles champion, Fraser won the greatest prize in tennis in 1960, defeating the great Rod Laver in a memorable All-Australian Wimbledon men's final. He repeated the victory over Rod Laver shortly after to defend the US Open crown he first won in 1959 with success against Peru-born American Alex Olmedo. Fraser also amassed 16 Grand Slam doubles titles, completing the career Grand Slam in the men's format and claiming 5 mixed trophies. But after helping Australia claim 4 successive Davis Cup titles from 1959 to 1962, Melbourne-born Fraser penned perhaps his greatest legacy as a captain. He held the Davis Cup captaincy for a record 24 years from 1970 to 1993, piloting Australia to 4 finals triumphs: 1973, 1977, 1983 and 1986. He recorded 55 wins from 75 ties played, all the while sitting courtside in his famous chair and terry toweling hat. Neale Fraser said, "I could never think of anything better than representing your country." We're going to take a short break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. So I hope you enjoyed that little retrospective on the career and life and achievements of Neale Davis. Let us know what you think. Join the conversation and give us your own thoughts on Davis Cup players from your country. But that's where we'll wrap it up for now. And that's the Spotlight series and part of our Player Watch. You've been listening to me, it's the bloke who walks. This Australian Open Life produced by Wise Words Media. We're based in Melbourne, Australia, and we are the experts on all things Australian Open 2025 at Melbourne Park. Qualifying starts on the 6th of January 2025. The tournament gets underway. The finals of the qualifying on the 9th of January. The tournament gets underway in mid-January 2025. But that's where we'll leave it for now. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll chat to you soon. Bye for now. Hang on a sec. G'day and welcome to this Australian Open Life. We tell stories and our story is Grand Slam tennis, coming to you live from the home of the Australian Open, Melbourne Park, produced by Wise Words Media. This Australian Open Life, we're based in Melbourne, Australia. We'll be bringing you the sights, sounds, summer of tennis, qualifying news, live tournament match play, audio only, radio style commentary, and the tournament kicks off in mid-January 2024. Hang on a sec. 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 Hang on a second, did we say there's other information about ground passes? Yes, there is. Now, you can also find 7-day ground passes between the 22nd and the 28th of January only, and we won't run through all the benefits there, but if you're willing to part with 139 Australian dollars, you'll get great value there. So I guess that's for the hardcore tennis fans that know that they definitely want to be going every day to the Australian Open. That is an expensive week if you're not taking your own food as well. But all this information is on the Australian Open website. It is ausopen.com/ticket-info. And once you go to that website for the Australian Open, you'll be taken through and you'll be able to just look for the, it's right up there on the top of the page, ground passes, and you'll be able to get your tickets there, and you'll be able to find tickets and get more information as you need them. But the ground passes, to finish off, that'll take you on an iconic Melbourne Park adventure, and you can explore the incredible world of food and beverages and entertainment on Grand Slam Oval. You can catch up with the tennis up close in Kia Arena and the Western Courts, all the show courts. There's some great show courts on the outdoors there, and some really great viewing areas. And you don't have to, all you need is just to be able to find a seat, unreserved seating only, of course, and they're available there for you to book. This Australian Open Life is produced by Wise Words Media. We're based in Melbourne, Australia. We are the experts about all things Melbourne, all things Melbourne Park, and all things Australian Open 2024. So stick around with us during the Australian Open 2024. We'll be bringing you live match commentary, audio only, radio style commentary throughout the first week of the Australian Open, and as we get into the second week, and we'll be picking and choosing some of our favourite upcoming matches with some of the lesser known players. We like focusing on the wild cards and those outside the top 100, the qualifiers, those that get through, and we like following the lesser known players and bringing a little bit of colour to the Australian Open for you. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and bye for now.